David Crane's A Boy and His Blob, Trouble on Blobalonia is a 1989 Nintendo Entertainment System adventure title which, to this day, has some of the most unique gameplay elements I've ever seen in a game. David Crane is the programmer and designer behind many classic video games, some of my personal favorites including Pitfall, Little Computer People, and Bart Simpson vs. the Space Mutants. But A Boy and His Blob is wildly different in its playstyle from any of those. The game was rebooted and released on the Wii a few years ago and came to other devices since, but today I'll be focusing on the NES original. The game can be beaten beginning to end easily in under 30 minutes. The game features a boy and his blob. I mean, there's not much else to say about that. The game starts and there you are. You've got jelly beans. So you try feeding one to your blob, and that's when you learn that jelly beans correspond to shapes. These various shapes are tools that will help you along your journey. As a kid, this was endlessly frustrating and infuriating, but as an adult, you'll have the actions of jelly beans memorized in a matter of minutes. For the most part, learning the jelly beans requires you to feed the blob a jelly bean to figure out the shape. But pretty quickly, you'll learn that there's some kind of literal rhyme or reason, usually a pun, behind at least most of the flavors and partnered shapes. Before you know it, you'll be used to tangerine, trampoline, vanilla umbrella, and even the cinnamon blowtorch. The hole punch, or punch-flavored jelly bean that creates a hole, is a useful tool, and the ketchup jelly bean isn't to be eaten by the blob, but rather it's a teleport jelly bean, allowing your blob to catch up to wherever you are. As you progress through the game, you'll learn that it has momentum mechanics, which can allow you to run faster, jump farther, and throw your jelly beans a greater distance if necessary. There are also some cartoon-like elements that can be used to make the game at least a little bit more forgiving. In the game, you collect treasures. The more treasures you get, the more likely it is you can afford a trip to the health food store to buy vitamins that will be used as ammo in your Vita Blaster. The more treasures you find, the more ammo you get, but we'll get into why that might not be important in a minute. At some point in the game, you travel to the planet of Blobalonia. At first, it looks like you just left the big city you started in, but soon you realize that there are attacking marshmallows, corn, and even caves with teeth. As you play through the game and try to figure it out, you'll realize you could jump ahead in the game even without the Vita Blaster, but if you skip a very important bag of jelly beans, you will be unable to complete the game. A Boy and His Blob's game engine also has some interesting techniques, where enemies that have been beaten typically remain cleared from a previous screen. As you can see, everything seems to have a fairly predictable pattern, and you can get through these areas with enough skill, but sometimes the enemies can be frustrating. The game has a coconut jelly bean, which allows you to send the blob ahead for scouting purposes, and by doing this, you can often clear enemies, making the game easier. Some consider this a bug, and some call it an intentional feature, noting that the coconut item serves no other purpose in the game. I've spent a lot more time than a usual video discussing A Boy and His Blob's gameplay mechanics, but that's because first and foremost, they're just so unique, and as I said, I think they deserve extra attention. Still, let's move on to the graphics. The graphics of the game make it easily ignored by many action gamers. It has a childlike innocence and a rather basic color palette, no matter where in the game you are. The two main characters are young and soft, making the game appealing to many people, especially children. But when you stop looking at it as childlike, you have to appreciate the beauty this game has to offer. It starts out at night with a quiet neighborhood, a large city skyline reflecting off of the water in the background. It's eye-catching, like a classic oil painting. The underground areas are devoid of much detail and filled with brown earth tones. The problems, for me, are what you see when you arrive on the alien world of Blobalonia. It looks just like Earth, except for the evil snack foods out to get you and the giant corn stalks. It doesn't seem like an alien world at all, at least not at first. The most eye-catching part of the game, however, doesn't have anything to do with the environments. It's all about the animations, smooth as silk. This was one of David Crane's specialties. Sure, it may not have been motion captured or rotoscoped, but there was a great deal of attention given to how your character moves. Even the blob itself has nice transitions and a fun hopping animation as he travels along with you. The sound, unfortunately, is another story. In the way of sound effects, there aren't many. little musical punctuation appears throughout the game to accompany certain actions, but the sound effects overall are quite limited. As is the music. It really doesn't even change when you first arrive on Blobalonia. Only after you start to get towards the evil candy factory does the music start to change and get more aggressive. At first it's pleasantly catchy, but all in all, I think you'll be tired of it by the end of this video. So we know there's a boy, and we know there's a blob, we know Blobalonia is a place, but where did the blob come from other than just Blobalonia, and why is the kid hunting for treasure? The manual explains it all. Look, he likes them. Likes them? The boy's blob loves them. Jelly beans, that is. And every flavor under the subway, like vanilla, apple, tangerine, cinnamon, cola, coconut, and more. Like many boys in the 21st century, the boy has a buddy from outer space. This one's from Blobalonia, a place where an evil emperor makes everyone eat only marshmallows and chocolate. In fact, for the emperor, healthy things like vitamins are poisonous. Blob, his full name is Blobbert, came to Earth looking for someone to help him defeat the evil emperor. That's how he met the boy. To defeat the evil emperor, the boy and Blob will need a goodly supply of vitamins. And to get the vitamins, they'll need money. To get money, they'll search the underground caverns for hidden treasures and diamond stones. So what's a boy to do? Just whistle. That'll call Blob. Then feed him jelly beans. You see, the boy miraculously discovered that not only does Blob love jelly beans, but that different flavored jelly beans turn Blob into different shapes, and that those shapes can be used to get through many otherwise impossible situations. With his repertoire of shapes, Blob can help the boy overcome even the most outrageous obstacles, as long as Blob gets the right flavored bean. In fact, with enough jelly beans and enough flavors, anything is possible. Well, now we know the whole story, right? It's the future, the 21st century, and lots of people are friends with aliens, but this particular alien wants you to save his planet. So you search under the city for buried treasure, trade diamonds for vitamins, fly through space without a spacesuit, and end up on an alien world. A boy and his blob falls into the category of an adventure, or maybe even a puzzle game. The animations are cute and fun to look at, and although the game has its challenges, it doesn't have to be the kind of game you're going to sink hours and hours into. And although there is a story to be told, and although the game is pretty linear, you're meant to focus on the satisfaction of problem solving and finding your way around. If you're looking to get engrossed in a deep story of interplanetary science fiction, it isn't there. This is just a simple story about a boy and his blob, and our story so far. Thanks everyone for tuning in to episode 39 of Our Story So Far TV. My name is Garrett, and if you want to interact with me, I'm always available on Twitter @NewAngel, that's NUANGEL. Feel free to leave a comment. What was your experience with this game? Do you remember it from your childhood? Likes and comments go a long way, and subscriptions to me go even further. If you found this video and you want to watch more, the easiest method is to go over to ourstorysofar.tv. I've been doing these videos for over a year, and so far I've stuck to a pretty tight schedule of a new video every 2 weeks, so come on back in 2 weeks and see what I have new for you. Until next time, take care of yourself.